Same with Rob Gibbs, and I just got an email from Steffi that she will be out as well with an excused absence. Other than that, I think we're all accounted for, unless I'm missing anyone else. Moving on to adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Go ahead.
Mr. Ackla has something to say.
I can hear that.
Do we need to do that over? That was kind of bizarre.
Well, I think Joe wants to say something. He's got his hand raised there.
Oh, go ahead.
Can I, I want to add something into new business. It will be a request for UDR for all of the survey information, all the printing and the cost with that. I want to put it in there so we have complete transparency as what it costs, so we don't bury it in another line item.
Move that. Anybody else have any other changes to the agenda? If not, move to adopt the amended agenda.
Second. Got you.
You did.
And in Paula's absence, would you like me to just take minutes, or is there someone else willing to take on her responsibility? I'll do it then. Okay.
I can't be trusted, or I would, but I can't be trusted. I get sidetracked too easy.
No worries. Okay. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, or raising your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. We do not have a closed session, so we'll move right into our open session. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Andrew, I just wanted to say one thing about that. These are, and I had hoped Paula would be here tonight. These are a lot of minutes. You know, normally we see maybe a month back, but we're all the way back to June 25th. It's just, I don't know why they got so far behind. And I think these are all just drafts. I don't know that anybody has even proofed these. When Jamie used to do this, she always sent us out a packet beforehand. You know, I don't know how we got, it's just really unusual to look at this many sets of minutes.
How would you prefer to have it done, Linda?
Huh? Like we have been, do you remember how Jamie did it for us?
Okay, is that how you prefer to do it going forward?
I think we should. I don't know about you, but I have trouble remembering this far back.
Why don't we inform staff that's the way we'd like to see it done then?
I sent Oryx a private email when she was asking about this. I assumed some of that training happened when they did the transitioning. So hopefully after this, it won't happen again, but you know, it wouldn't hurt. It would be not, it's really Paula's bailiwick to talk to them about it. It's really not for me to say.
Okay.
Joe, does that make sense to you?
That's fine.
Then Linda, based on your, sorry, I'm jumping in. Based on your comment, do we want some more time to review these? Since it's several, we can review them and vote on them at the next meeting.
I don't know. That's up to you guys what you want to do. I looked at them all, but I don't know if any of the rest of you have all looked at them and found no issues with them, problems with them, corrections.
I move to accept the minutes on the agenda as submitted.
I'll second that so we can have any discussion. I didn't find any issues with them personally, but I don't know if everyone had time to read through.
I did not have time to read through that many, but
Likewise. I mean, it would be nice if we could have a little bit more time to take a look at them.
So should I move to then postpone the approval of these minutes until the next board meeting when we've had a chance, everyone's had a chance to review them?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Is
Sorry, I
that
feel like I missed my homework this time.
Yeah. Is that a second then, Joshua?
That is totally a second.
All right.
Motion to postpone until the next board meeting, is that correct?
That's what I said.
That's correct.
Okay. Then we need to vote on that.
Call for the question.
Sorry, I'm just taking notes here. Yep, any final discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to postpone the minutes until next board meeting, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. We'll move into announcements. Go ahead, Joe.
Good evening. I will turn it over to Norm to give us our monthly update on the COVID-19. Norm?
Good evening, everyone, and members in the audience. This is a monthly update as to the current operational picture for the COVID-19 response for the county and for us. I will start this off stating that it has been widely reported and is factual that the virus is still on an active plane and trajectory upward, and that is supported by both public health and Whatcom Unified's data. However, there are some data errors that have been reported to the Washington Washington Public Health from the county, so some of the numbers are a little behind. We'll go ahead and start off with Whatcom County. Their confirmed case count as of today was 1,302. However, the Herald reported about 5 p.m. tonight that Thursday there were 6 additional cases. 42 deaths currently with a percentage positive rate for testing at 3.2%. Washington State confirmed cases right now are 83,702. With that, they have reported 2,081 fatalities, and their percentage positive is 2.5%. Whatcom County is currently not meeting the state risk assessment dashboard as of today in 3 of the 4 metrics that are required to move on to phase 3. Washington State overall is not meeting 2 of their own 4 state metrics. The following are the key announcements from the governor this September as far as his news releases have gone. As of yesterday, he issued an update and guidance on miscellaneous venues. He announced also an interactive dashboard has been stood up by the State Commerce Department for economic recovery through the state to track the current climate. He issued updated guidance on weddings and funerals, and he's had during the wildfire when it was very active in the state, he had numerous press conferences concerning the response to that and how that interacted with the COVID response. Our current public health orders in the state are Mask Up Washington, which is still in effect, social distancing and gathering in current county phase, which for us would be phase 2, is still in effect, and proper PPE and hygiene for all phases. Counties available to apply for the next phase will reopen Washington. No change. We are still on a hold with statewide. Unified Command's incident objectives for operational period 21, and that equates to approximately 184 days that Unified Command has been stood up are unchanged. Whatcom County Public Health and Whatcom Unified Command's current operational focus is continue the testing and improvement on testing and procedures for the low barrier test program. There has been one change. The low barrier program in Linden is closed tomorrow due to high winds forecasted. They're continuing the planning with the food security unit for distribution of food through Bellingham Food Bank and their other distribution sites, and the continued planning for medical surge operations. Currently at the Byron Street Quarantine and Isolation Facility, as of this morning, there are no occupants. Following us from the Whatcom County unemployment dashboard that's been stood up. It's a cooperative effort between the Port of Bellingham and City of Bellingham for the county. As of the 4th of September, there were 629 unemployment claims filed, and on the 11th of September, 549 claims were filed. So that's the current trending direction there. They'll update it next week, and that'll finish out the month for the most part. Sudden Valley's planning objectives are unchanged for phase 3. We're still on hold per the governor's proclamation. Our current planning objectives are planning horizon for phase 2. It was modified to allow for the opening of the playground equipment with proper signage and sanitation in place now at the parks. So the restrictive barrier tape has been removed, and modification for utilizing our meeting rooms under phase 2 requirements. Safety plan will be submitted by the rec department to discuss at our staff meeting on Tuesday. And with that, if that looks like we've met all those objectives, we'll put that to the health department for comment. And this is due because of weather related. A lot of our clubs and organizations have been meeting outside in the open air. And as we've all experienced last couple of days, that's not becoming much of an option. Our meeting schedule is currently unchanged. External messages and frequency is unchanged. And again, Unified Command asks that any questions concerning the current response and their current level of activity, please go to www.watcomcovid.com. With that, if there are any questions, I would gladly answer them or get back to you once I know. Director Bradley, you need to unmute. Linda, unmute.
I was gonna say, do you guys have any plan on opening the rec center? I guess I'm concerned because we're doing that in-person voting, and I don't know if you're thinking about opening the center or not at this point. I kind of get messages.
The recent e-blast and also our Friday e-blast has continued to carry updates from the rec department currently as far as the community center and the fitness center and those type of classes. It's still a phase 3 opening. We have not reached phase 3 at this point. It is unlikely during the current rate of the infection in the state and nationally that that's going to occur anytime soon. So,
okay. Just checking. Thank you, Norm.
Like I said, we try to get that out every Friday with another e-blast that contains the latest updates on what we're doing here. Any other questions? With that, thank you everybody for your patience.
Thank you, Norm. Joe, anything else before we move on?
I have nothing else to add on COVID.
Doesn't sound like it. So we'll move to General Manager's report.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to do a couple things real quick. First of all, I want to introduce Rachel Tucker. She is our new HR office manager type position. She's taking over for Lisa, who is, this will be her last board meeting with us, and her last day of work is tomorrow. So I would like to welcome Rachel to the team as well as to the board. So welcome, Rachel.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to work with all of you, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you.
My report is as submitted. If anybody has, I think it's easier with the way we're set up now with Zoom. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and fire them at me and I'll give you the answers and we'll go from there.
Joe, I was looking at page 15, and you have here the panel for the messages. I noticed that at the rotunda the other day, and it looks like it's something that you've been moving around to different areas. Is that true?
Yeah, I believe that is something that maintenance has built to move it around to see how they like them and all that kind of stuff. So it is a portable one right now. Any feedback that anybody in the community can give myself on that would be greatly appreciated.
How's the solar light working on the top of it? I was only there during the daytime.
I could not tell you. I do not know how the solar light is working.
Okay. And do you think that this is big enough? It looked a little small. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit on the small side. We could always, we built this in-house, so we can always build it bigger.
Make it bigger. Yeah, I like the idea, and a little bit bigger would be a good thing.
Okay. Yes, Linda.
This question might be better for Rich to answer, but maybe you can. Have we how many new home starts have we had? Do we have this year? And have we reached our 10 for the year?
I cannot answer that one. Rich might have a better handle on that one. Last I knew we had 6, but I could be wrong.
I don't have a tally at this time, Linda, but I'll pull it together and send it to you.
Oh, that works. Thanks. I just wondered if we'd reached our 10 because we're almost at the end of the the work season and the dirt season and stuff.
Well,
Joe, a couple of other questions I have are probably for Joel.
Okay.
And I guess on page 3, there's a second bullet with accounting. It says operational net income and what it was. If I take those numbers and I look at the difference, it says is largely the result of waiving that. There's still a $95,000 500 that's not accounted for. And I wondered, where's the rest of that?
Off of what, I know the bullet point, but off of what would you reference it to?
So he says the operational net income was 127,680 versus 422,583 last year. So I took those two numbers and subtracted them and then took the 199,346, which was giving up a month of dues. And I still come up with where's the other $95,557 that where there's a difference of.
Joel?
I'm unmuted. So in terms of like seeing, can you mute yours? Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll do. Let me unmute me. Okay. So you can see where the difference is, Linda. Like if you look at that third column from the right on page 40 of the of your agenda packet, which
Right,
has.
let me get back there. I'm going faster than bullets here. Oh, car 54. I'm sorry, there's just an awful lot of pages here.
Oh yeah.
40, right?
Yeah.
I'm finding everything but 40. Oh, wait, no, I got it. Okay, shoot.
Okay, so like one of the big difference, I mean, roughly what can show you the difference is when you look at the total revenues or the revenue line items, you'll see we're under by about $189,000 approximately.
Uh-huh.
And then when you drop down into the expense category, then you'll see that we're over by, or excuse me, we're better than budget by 90,000. So actually, so the second column from the right. So basically, like a product of those two can give you a good idea of where the differences would come into it. So like, for example, like golf income or golf revenue, where we're
okay.
Down.
It was just, yeah. I expected it to be much closer. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, where is it? The
Yeah.
other strange question I have for you, Joel, is
Uh-huh.
on page 4, there's that one, it's called account by status thing, and it breaks everybody out. And we've got all these accounts that are really long overdue. Is anybody making any progress with this? Because it looks almost like the numbers remain unchanged, especially for the long overdues that are the bankruptcies, the uncollectible accounts with the collection agency and the attorney accounts.
Yeah, right now, because of the COVID type situation, Angie's kind of, we basically, at this point, have put most of that on hold at this point. We're not really trying to hammer people, this difficult time at this point. So that's why you'll see that those numbers won't change too much, like at this juncture.
Okay, I was just curious because it's like they stay really stagnant, and I
Right,
just wondered,
yeah.
is anybody really doing anything, or are we just
Yeah.
kind of holding?
Because like, for example, we have about 20 payment plans, and so we have around the same amount of payment plans, same amount of people not honoring at this time. And that's just because of, obviously we're not going to small claims court and stuff like that. And
Yep,
like-
gotcha.
like-
And that's hard, yeah, because now I gotcha. All
Yeah.
right, that just answers that question. Joe, the next question, and I don't know who answers this. It might be Maddie and it might be Lisa, or it might be Rachel. On page 8, we're supposed to have a community-wide flu clinic. Do we know how and where they're going to hold that?
We actually just started working on that, and that is something that Lisa and Rachel have started working on. From what I can tell you, from what I've been filled in with that, is it's going to be, I believe it's going to be kind of like a drive-by, and I believe Lisa and Rachel had been working with the clinic to get that set up. So that's just something new that's just over the last couple of days. So I don't know if Lisa or Rachel want to answer that one.
Well, Rachel set it up so I don't know if you want to chime in, but they cannot do a member flu clinic. They're only going to be able to do a staff flu clinic, just specifically based on safety protocols.
And then one last thing that I had on page 14, there's a whole thing, and I guess because I did this way back when, and I guess the question's kind of for you and Bruce, there's this talk about closing up the AM/PM restroom because it doesn't have electrical power for heating. We put a heater in that building to keep the mold down that usually is off most of the years and was still able to be turned on in the winter to prove, not real high, but enough to keep it warm in the building so they could leave it open. And unless that was altered, I'd love to know when, but there's a heater in that building.
Oh, Linda, there really isn't. That would have to be a portable. There's an outlet inside there. That's where you could plug a heater in. You take the chance of somebody unplugging it and it's going to freeze. Several years ago, I'll go back 3 years. Somebody actually walked down through the golf course with the bathrooms open and they were turning the heater off. Luckily, security kept catching it. I don't
thought all
advise
the
sticking a
controls for
portable
that
heater in
heater
there.
were tucked away in that maintenance room.
Nope, and where? Maintenance room in the bathroom is a PM?
There's like a little on the one side of the restrooms down there on the swing set side. I don't know what it is, but if you go in there, there's like an access panel that was closed. I think you may want to talk to the guy that did the work on that, because we specifically had a heater put in there because of all the mold problem that we had in there in the past.
Are we talking AM/PM or Marina?
We're talking the marina.
Oh, Marina's kept open. I'm shutting down the AM/PM. We do that every year.
Oh, all right. I just wanted to make sure that the marina one is staying open. That's all.
Oh, it has since you remodeled it.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Josh?
Hey, I wanted to talk about that sign real quick since Leslie brought it up.
Okay.
What are you calling that?
Information sign or board?
Okay. I know it's just like a test, but do you think like maybe a planter box could go on the back of that or something that kind of conceals that bottom a little bit so it's not so guillotine-ish or something.
Josh, we could probably do that. You just want the box at this time of year, putting flowers or something in there, and then somebody has to maintain it.
Yeah.
We could do it. We could put the box on there.
I
Would you
mean, I
rather
was
just
actually
have-
thinking if you can conceal a trash can or something like that in there so that it goes right underneath it. But I mean, I might be getting overcomplicated here, but it might be aesthetically a little bit more pleasing, you know?
About fake
I'll tell you
flowers.
what, Josh, we'll work on it. We'll make it look better.
Okay, just some suggestions. It looks cool though.
Do you think it's too small, Josh?
No, I think it's fine. I mean, if the objective is for people to, you know, look at it when they're getting their mail, I think it works perfectly.
Yeah. I think it is a little small, but I think we can get it a little bigger, maybe a little wider. I don't think length is too bad. I just think it could be a little wider.
Yeah, why don't you just put a billboard up there while you're at it too, Joe?
Hey, I have no problem with
So
that.
I was just gonna say, I don't think it's too big. Just let's make sure let's make sure we don't build a portable billboard. I think.
Okay, all right,
I think
that's fine.
people
That's
might
fine.
not want that.
Okay.
No, it looks
I don't
good.
know, I think it's actually a decent size. It's bigger than the existing like ones on the post, isn't it?
No, it's about the same size.
About the same.
Yeah, the idea was that people would be up closer so they could say read an 8 by 11, 8.5 by 11, rather than one big sign that had few words on it.
Awesome. Thanks, Bruce.
Welcome, Josh.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Yes, Andrew.
I just wanted to commend the parks on the GPS Google Earth of the amenities. I thought that was really, really cool. I hope maybe that could be included in new homeowner packets, a link. I don't know. I just found it really helpful. So
Yeah, that
good,
was
good work.
Yeah, Maddie has spent countless numbers of hours getting that around, and that is a nice thing. Yeah, we can add all of those links right into our new homeowner package. That's not a hard thing to do.
Well done. Thank you.
Joe, I have a question if I could ask it.
Sure can.
The Parks Department, that is a crew of 2, is that right?
That is correct. It's a crew of 2.
Okay, and they're working on Cascade Park renovation. And I was by there today and it's looking really, really good. I want to compliment those guys. I guess just the 2 of them work on it, and it's coming along nicely. I was wondering if you have any update as to when that thing might be finished.
I do not have an update, but what I can do, Scott, is I will get with the Boys and Parks and find out what the ETA on that will be and get that out to you.
And how about the outdoor chess project? Do you have any kind of a date on that?
That is that's being done by the scout. He hasn't really kept me much in the loop on where he stands with it, other than what we have on the ground. I know he's been working with Bruce quite a bit to help facilitate getting that around, since we did help him quite a bit with measuring it out and doing some stuff like that. So I mean, Bruce might have a better idea on that.
Yeah, we've pretty much sport-wise are finished with it, helping him. There might be a little bit of cleanup, but to be truthful, Scott, I can't give the answer either.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I did have another question.
You're muted, Scott. Scott, you're muted.
Too many buttons, too many buttons. Okay, the tree that you took down at the marina by the kayaks there, might be a question for Bruce. Was that done by Sun Valley Maintenance, or was that done by a contractor?
It was done by a contractor. We didn't want to damage the kayaks.
Okay, was there a cost on that? I'm sure there was. Do you know what it was?
No, I don't. I'd have to ask Jenny. She controls the money pot.
I can get that for you too.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Linda.
Joe, I just have one more question and maybe there's that homeless camp that everybody had quite a discussion about on Facebook last weekend. It said no further information. Do we know, is that really like a permanent encampment up there?
Linda, this is the first time hearing about this. I do not troll a lot of time on Facebook. So Linda, please fill me in because I have not heard about that.
I think Norm knows more.
So what this is, it is a family that is effectively moved into Lookout Mountain County Park. The fire department is aware of it, especially during the burn ban, and so is the county sheriff. And they are currently residing there, and that's up to when the county parks department decides they must leave.
So it'll be county parks that they can ask them to leave?
They can, or they can ask the sheriff to have them evicted. Yeah, and they haven't done either one.
Well, I'm glad it's rained because when we heard about it last weekend, it was like bone dry. And evidently somebody must have been up there walking around because they had a campfire. And now it's much cooler and wetter to boot.
The fire chief Topol actually went up and has spoken to them a couple of times. From South Watkin. So,
okay, thank you. I just was concerned.
Joe, you have a thing about insurance renewals listed here under HR and administration. Do you see any changes in that? Obviously, it'll probably go up, but do you have any firm numbers or anything yet?
No, this is just our initial sit down. It's what we started this week. Part of it was to introduce Rachel to our broker, as well as starting preliminary work for next year.
May I interject just a moment?
Sure.
I do have some good news regarding that. We typically, every year, we talk to our insurance broker, ask her to look at her crystal ball when they're in the budgeting system. What did their ears to the ground say that our increases are going to be? And almost every year we've budgeted for a 15% increase. However, we're being told optimistically, obviously nothing's in stone, but they're looking at single figures. So that's really great news.
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right, we'll move into our treasurer's report and our capital request. Go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing we have on here is for the Marina Gate Arm, and so that we can get into it and have the discussion. The Finance Committee has reviewed this and has recommended that the Board of Directors approve $42,937.84 from the CRRF fund for including taxes and contingency for the Marina Gate Arm. So that was intended to be a motion so that it can be seconded and we can discuss. I have a little bit
Second.
Okay.
No discussion.
AJ?
I just have a couple questions. So both the existing gates are going to come out basically for a gate up top, essentially.
That's correct. Yeah, the intention is to have one gate system that'll block off the entire boating area down there because there's two launches. So you'll scan in with your access card, the gate arm will come up, come in with your boat, and then you can either use the hard launch, which is one for the larger vessels, and then we have the soft launch too.
Okay. And are we going to be removing the old, like, obviously the gate arm's going to come off. We're going to be removing the old boxes and stuff too, as well, and like pulling out those like I'm assuming they're bedded in some sort of concrete?
I
Or is
believe we
that-
are, but Bruce can elaborate on that.
Yes, you know, AJ, they'll come out, everything.
Okay. And then are we doing this, when is the work gonna happen? Are we, because we're like coming down on the watershed window, or is it under our 500 square foot threshold so we can still work on
It's
it?
under,
Or?
yeah, it's under the 500-foot threshold. The footprint of the two gate arms, if you will, is less than that. And we'll do this in series. Same with potholing for the bollards. They're 5 foot apart and a 3-inch diameter hole. So, yeah, it's pretty much, and then the trench, if we can't get it in time, we'll put that in next year. But right now, I see we'll get it in and probably keep it under the 500 square feet.
Okay. All I had, I think Linda, you had your hand, and then Scott.
I've just got a couple questions. I know that the contingency on this project also included if you figure it out, it has to include the sales tax we're being charged. And normally our contingencies have not included that amount for sales tax. Why the change?
Okay, I'll take that one. Linda, that's the way I did it. Put it all together and just went for a total contingency.
Okay, I'm just saying in the past, it's only been the price of the projects. The other question I have, and you probably can answer this best, and I'm not, it's hard to tell. But it looks like on the work that Sudden Valley is going to be doing, we're being taxed on the our labor for our laborers. Should that labor, that Sudden Valley labor, be taxed?
Joel, can you answer that? Joel, can the Sudden Valley labor be taxed on work we do on capital projects?
Are you talking about, so this is labor that we ourselves are doing?
Yes, that'll be
Yes,
Sudden Valley.
on the
maintenance
marina
labor.
project.
Oh, no, we wouldn't put tax on that.
Okay, again, Linda, I'll take that one.
No, I just was wondering, it's just normally what, it's like, it's our own people, and it just seems weird to be paying tax on that. I understand if somebody else is doing the work, or
Yeah,
if it's stuff
Linda,
that we're buying.
Yeah, Linda, that would be very similar to this CVC stuff. So we'll just put, just a payroll expenses to that if we're doing the labor.
Okay, it just changes things a little bit. That's all. I'm just looking at the paperwork that was submitted. And I have one last strange question, and maybe it isn't applicable, and Bruce can tell me that. On page 35, it shows where the gate comes across, but then there's that little jog that's over that says 3-foot bollard set. And it's like I'm uncertain if that's where the gate's going to go, and then there's going to be a jog, the bollards are going to go, or if it's where the red line is on that page.
That was 35 that you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
Linda,
think I have it.
36, it's a little better depiction of kind of the setup. So the yellow lines are the bollards, and the white are obviously the gate arms. And so it's
and that's kind of my weird question, is why not just go straight across rather than make that little jog?
If you, I'll take it off from the gate, starting the white line with the black in it. That's the gate, correct? You're looking at page 35. And then where the jog is, that was allow a couple more parking spaces rather than go straight on through.
But I thought we weren't going to have parking in there. That's all.
That's, if we're looking at what I think it is, you have a wet square that says 3-inch bollards.
Yep.
Okay, right there, that corner.
Yeah.
On the downside of that, I put that in there so we'd have 2 parking spaces. You can see the 2 bumpers there.
Yeah,
If I came straight ahead, I'd have taken those out and possibly a third.
because see, I'm looking at this other picture that Maddie directed me to on, I think it's 36. And it looks like you would still gain 2 more parking spots, you know, for people. It shows cars within that area. And I thought that that's not going to be the case, that there aren't going to be cars parked in there.
Linda, could you do me a favor? Just hold up to the camera. I can see what you're looking at. That'll help.
Yeah, and Linda, just to add to that, I think it does give a little bit more space for large vehicles with their boats to kind of maneuver in there too, to make that wide turn.
Okay, it's just weird that it's not straight across, that there's that extra jog. That's all. I just had that question. It just seems strange.
Yeah. Last answer for you too, the cars that are inside that area. This was a, come on, Bruce. This is a satellite photograph of about 2-3 years ago.
But there isn't going to be parking, correct?
No,
There's not
no,
gonna be
that's
cars
the
within
intention.
there.
Yeah, because right now we have cars parked in there who are like blocking, you know,
Yep.
vessels from launching. So that's part of the point too of proposing this new system.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Yeah.
Scott?
Okay, I'm gonna go back to page 23. I got a question. I understand the whole thing about, you know, the sensors being underneath the ramp and water erosion, all that stuff. But did you look at a above ground sensor for that single gate rather than having to put a double gate in and bollards and all that stuff? Is there anything like that that exists? What I'm wondering about is whether you just cut the wires to whatever's in the cement, and then you wire in an above ground sensor of some kind that would trip that arm when someone back in.
Talk about the original one.
Now I'm looking at this page here, which is page 23. And at the bottom is the existing arm and gate.
Okay.
Which looks to me also like where the key card reader goes, it wasn't ever protected from the elements or anything. I'm not sure, but I went out there a couple of times and looked at it, and I was just curious to know, obviously, you know, whether there is any kind of a system where you would have an above ground and not in the ramp itself sensor, and you wouldn't have to deal with all these bollards and double gates and all this stuff.
Yeah. To be truthfully, I'm not that versed on the technology, but above ground sensor, the sensors go all the way into the lake. Half of those sensors are covered right now. So if we had an above ground sensor, it still would have to go down in the water where the trailer would be to be able to sense there was a trailer down there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, okay. The new card readers that would go on, are they protected from the elements, or is it the same kind of as?
The current card reader is protected from the elements.
Yeah, those are like waterproof card readers. The issue that we're having is the underground sensors, not that like card reader. So it's that those special sensors that are underneath the concrete there.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are electromagnetic. Vandalized?
Say that again, Scott?
Are they susceptible to vandalism?
No.
Okay.
Those sensors you're talking about in the ramp are electromagnetic. AJ's probably familiar with this with other projects. They're designed to detect a vehicle by the amount of metal in there. They're a secondary safety eye. And then when you put in systems like this, you always put in, there's redundancy because that's what the installer is required to do to meet code. So there's more than one ground safety loop. There's photo eyes involved with it. That's part of the whole installation packet.
How much does the lake fluctuate up that ramp? Do you have any idea?
It's rainfall dependent as well as what they get off of from glacier melt. So no, that would have to be a hydrological.
10 feet?
Well, I can say, Scott, in the past, I've seen that fluctuate as much as 2 or 3 feet. That's in a vertical up and down. That's really all controlled though by the dam down at the end of the lake. The county, or sorry, the city controls that flow.
Okay. And then you're in here talking about enforcement of parking and whatnot with signs and everything. Have you ever had to tow vehicles out of there? Or has there been any real sense of enforcement on the parking down there?
Boy, Matty, don't know about a few years that Andrew's been down there. But in the past, no, we haven't towed any out of there. We just kind of get a hold of security, have them come down and find the owner, have them moved.
Just to add to that, being down there this summer, I've had a good chance to really look at things and how things are working down at the marina. And there was a lot of parking issues. And in fact, we did move some concrete bumpers that said no parking on them, but when you pull up, it looks like a parking place. That has helped a lot in the parking, but there's still people that will come in and park, especially if the park is full. People don't know where to go. So there has been parking issues down there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
When I look at this drawing on page 26, you have the ballards, you have the gate, you got the ballards all the way across, and then it angles towards the office. And it looks like it stops where the grass meets the road there. What would prevent a car or four-wheel drive from just driving over the lawn to get into there? Why not run the ballards all the way to the corner of the building? Is there stuff underground there that would prevent that? Or should we be concerned about anybody just driving over and going on in?
Yeah, Scott, I don't think that's really happened in the past, trying to get in there. If that's a concern and the board would like to, we can add those bullards in there for an additional cost.
And Scott, just to follow up on that, the intent is really to prevent common parking, within that area. If somebody really wants to try and get into that field, they'll probably find a way. But that parking area right there is like very close to the swim area and the off-leash dog area. So, people obviously just try to park as close as possible, so that's really the intent, is to secure that area off because it's really meant to be for the launch.
Okay. And then going to page 29 with the proposal from Gateway, you talk about high security strong arm packs, but you don't talk about what those cost or what the 14-foot aluminum arms cost. And I'm concerned that if somebody sits on it or, what would it cost to replace one of those? Do you know already?
No, I don't.
I mean, attachment A doesn't have any prices for what these parts cost. So if you were to have something break, where would the money come from to fix an arm that might cost $2,300, which is what I Googled on?
Yeah, it would come from operations budget. If it's
Yeah,
under capital, it has to come out of operations.
Yeah, we do have money in the Marina department for maintenance, and if things go wrong down there, like when we improve the issues on the wet slip, that kind of thing. So we do have money every year to do some repairs.
Okay, and then as far as the concrete topper for the lawn area, what is that? Is that a piece of 4x4 cement that covers something, or what is that exactly? It's on your attachment A, and it's down about 2/3 of the way on the proposal. Concrete topper for excavation in lawn area.
Can you give me a page, Scott?
Yes, sir. Page 29.
Okay. Page 29 and,
Yeah, Bruce, it's part of the bid from Gateway Controls.
okay. I'm looking for the concrete specifically. Concrete topper for excavation in lawn area. No, again, I don't know that particular one. They actually spec'd out the details on that.
Okay. And then it talks about a 2-year warranty. 2-year parts and labor warranty. Have you seen that warranty, or has anybody seen what that warranty actually entails?
Scott, physically looking at that warranty, no. Dealing with Gateway Controls on several other issues, they're very good about warranting their work and their parts.
Okay. I think it answers my questions. I'm just having a little bit of a difficult time trying to get my head around this. So thank you.
Yeah, Linda?
So question, are you going to be able to reuse the one card reader from the old ramp, or they're both going to be new card readers?
They're both new card readers.
Okay. And are they really going to sit that far away from the gate? So the plan is people will have to get out of their vehicles to open the gate and to close the gate, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You have to do that now too. You have to get out of your vehicle to open the gate.
Oh, to launch it, but you're right there at the launch, you know, and it closes after you leave. So you really only have the one way. You don't have a two-way. That's what I'm saying. You're going to have to be able to get yourself in, and you're going to have to be able to get yourself out.
Right.
It has a sensor, so it'll stay open, you know, for as long as your vehicle and boat are underneath it. So it's not going to close on you or anything like that. And then once you're in the launch area, you have more time to kind of maneuver and get down the ramp.
Gotcha. I just was wondering, it's just, that it is a two-step process. I was thinking about what Scott had to say about if you have those gates there. I can see kids thinking that's just a wonderful little teeter-totter.
No, it's no different than the one that we have now. Yeah.
Oh, I know, but what I'm saying is kids don't go way down there. I'm saying those are going to be large and they're going to be across an area, and if somebody does, heaven forbid, sit on those or mess them up somehow, can the same thing happen with those gates that go up and down as happens with our current launch gate of somebody's car or vehicle getting hit?
Linda, the best way I like to put that is you can't make everything idiot proof.
I get you there.
You only go so far with it.
Bruce or Maddie, are they going to be the arms themselves very much different than what we have now as far as height or materials or anything like that?
Yes, they will be different. They're also a kind of a breakaway type arm, so that if it should come down onto, we'll say, a vehicle, there's a cushion underneath it. If somebody smacks it, I understand they break away.
Okay.
So, and then they can snap right back together. The way I understand it, I can use my hands up here. It breaks out like this, and then once you go through, you can push it back together.
Okay. The ones that we have now are quite high, and kids actually do hang out around there. They fish right by the launch dock. I'm not quite sure why, but they do. And I'm not down there all the time, but I haven't really ever seen anybody climbing on the gate arm themselves. They're pretty high. It would take quite a bit to climb on that, but it could happen. I've seen crazier things. But.
Yeah, and we do have staff there during the summer now, definitely keep an eye on what's going on. And like Bruce was saying, this is like modern, up to date technology that's specifically designed to be hit or messed with or that kind of thing. So it's just it would be cheaper to like repair the arm or something compared to what we have now.
Maddie, could you explain the law that Whatcom County, the AIS law, and what we're required to do? I went down to Blodell and I looked at that, and they still have the tent folks there inspecting boats. And but in the off season, I don't believe they're there. Correct? Do you know?
Andrea, do you want to kind of cover this? She works with the AIS.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's the residents' responsibility to make sure that they get their AIS inspection done every year. And the city of Bellingham is really good about policing that and getting people to do that. As far as when I renew marina folks, they have to supply me their AIS inspection number before I activate their card. So that's for the whole entire year. So even in the off season, if someone has an active marina access card, they have already gone through the process of supplying all of the documentation and their inspection number to us.
You give them a card and you've checked the IAS, and if they have it, they're good to go. And you charge them for the card, is that right? If they're not a resident?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So anybody that's an existing marina customer, they get an access card within the cost that they pay, whether it's dry storage or wet storage or combo storage. If it's just an access card, they do have to fill out a short application. And on that form is a space where I have to get their inspection number from the actual decal that's issued. And once that I receive that, I activate their card or give them a card for the year. And then it expires every year on March 31st. So every year we have to go through that same process again.
Norm, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'd like to call attention to, Scott asked about the regulation for aquatic invasive species. It's located in this document, which you can't really see it, but it says the Aquatic Invasive Species Action Plan for Lake Whatcom Reservoir. It was adopted in September 2011. The statute that we are meeting by having controlled access is not only for knowing who is going in and out of the arena, and these days that's very critical for our gatherings aspect for COVID, but under this document, it says under the Aquatic Invasive enforcement programs for recreational commercial watercraft are located in RCW 4343.400. And it states regulate at a port of entry, way stations, ex post facto enforcement of aquatic invasive species laws and education. So what we are doing is by having a system in place to have boat owners have to comply with this from the reservoir in the manner we're doing it, insulates us. It complies with the RCW, it complies with what the city of Bellingham is doing. I'm fully aware they don't do that at Blodell. AIS in that location is a city contained in a city, and they have other options in which they choose to exercise. We don't have the number of personnel or people to have these type of patrols, so we have to put in a system to where there's a registration, a card issue, and then they have to have the documents they supply to us to be able to launch, and so we can meet this regulation. And I would be happy to send this to anybody that would like it.
How many boats use that ramp?
We were just talking about that today, actually, and Andrea estimated we have about 325 Marina members who are Sudden Valley members. We do also issue like day passes to non-members or members who want to access the launch but don't want to rent a slip or something. So we have like a day fee that people pay as well.
What are the charges?
Let's see, I know it's $22 for the day. And then I think Andrea's at a $55 for the season. That's just to launch your boat. It's not for storage.
Right, that's correct. It's $55 for the season for residents, 110 for non-residents. Day pass, 22 for residents and 44 for non-residents. And they also have to supply their AIS number when they do it, even for the day.
Okay, I've taken enough time. Thank you.
I got another question that I thought of. So looking at page 35, I'm kind of seeing the configuration, and then there's some kind of black dotted lines that show, like, basically my question is, like, what are we anticipating is the route that people are going to take to utilize the gate and then launch their boat? Like, if they're going into the deep water one, do we anticipate them pulling frontward all the way in and then backing like down? And if we are using like the soft one, they would just back in and go straight down or something? Is that, or what do we anticipate there?
Yeah.
That's personally what
Again,
I've seen, what you're describing when I've been down there is, you see those 3 cars that are from like Google Earth, so people will pull into kind of that area and then launch straight down into the hard launch. And then people typically back just straight up in order to get to that soft launch. So that's kind of why we need that extra area right there.
Okay, makes sense. And those gate arms, they go up then, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then, yeah, I'd like to say I appreciate the level of detail in the capital requested. There's a lot of information there. Thank you.
I also, I don't know how long you guys have been working on this, but I suspect you've been working on it for a while. And I too appreciate what you've done.
I would just like one other thing quick before I'm done. Linda had pointed out the tax thing on the labor in the thing. I think you would still have tax in that estimate because there are supplies that would be taxed and stuff. So I don't know.
And there'll also be payroll taxes as well.
I think that was meant to cover payroll tax too. And like you said, Andrew, cost of materials that we're purchasing because maintenance is
Call a
purchasing
question.
bollards.
Call a question.
Did you finish your thought there, Andrew? AJ?
Yeah, I was just, pointing out that there was some materials there which are usually taxed.
I'll just
So
echo.
do we have that number right then? Or does that need to be adjusted? I guess.
I think the 8.5% that they use for the payroll tax roughly covers it. Like, what you said with materials and even with payroll taxes. So it's kind of a wash. So it would be fine how it is right now in the bid.
And I think if there was anything else in there, it would be covered by the contingency. So I think, again, if we don't use the contingency, it goes back. But yeah, I think if there's any taxes that we maybe didn't capture totally, the contingency should cover that.
Any further discussion? I'll go ahead and call the question. So their motion on the table is a request for $42,937.84 allocation from SURF account to install a replacement gate system for the Marina boat launch. Did I get that right? All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And I'll just echo great work, everyone.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you, Andrea and Maddie and Bruce, who else worked on it. Good job.
Thank you.
We'll move into our July financials. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn this over to Joel to walk us through it.
So I'll start out on page 39 of your agenda packet, which is the balance sheet. And it, like the previous month, there's nothing overly exciting going on with this in a good way. Net operating assets are all fine. capital current assets, so on and so forth. There's nothing really huge to point out. I already pointed out the PPP thing, that $357,700,000 liability, which got added back in May. If we turn the page to page 40 in your packets, now we're looking at the income statement. I'll just start off with the collection rates. I'm looking at the basically second column from the right, so 94.6% collection rate year to date. That's July 2020 year to date. Month to date, it was for the month of July only, it was 98.2%. In comparison, last year, July 31, 2019, so it was 98.2% year to date, July 2020. July 2019, it was 99.8%. And those are month to date, sorry, month to date numbers. Year to date for July 2020 was 94.6%. July 2019, it was 96.9%. Now, if we go back a month, June 2020, month to date, it was 94.6%. And then June of 2019, month to date, it was 96%. Year to date for June 2020 was 93.9%. And then June 2019 was 96.4%. So it did tick up year to date from June to July from 93.9 to 94.6. Now, if we get into, so I have the August numbers, collection rates as well. So at the end, so August 2020 month to date, it decreased to 93.9%. Year to date for August, it went down also, as you would expect, to 94.5% too. So August 2020 month to date, 93.9%, or July 2020 month to date, 98.2%. Year to date, August 2020 is 94.5%, and then July 2020 year to date, 94.6%. Now, in the previous year, like in August, there was also a decrease. So from July 2019 month to date, it was 99.8%, and then August 2019, it decreased to 96.7% month to date. Year to date, July 2019, it was 96.9%, and then August, it decreased, as you can expect, because of that decrease in the month to date to 96.9%. In terms of the net income for the month of July, so I'm looking at year to date net income. Operating net income is $127,680. The year before that, July 2019, was $422,583. That means we were worse than budget at the end of July 2020 by $99,480. Now let's see, in terms of, so June we had an operating net income of $12,035. We were worse than budget year to date by about $167,000. So we've made up ground from June to July, since now we have $127,680 operating income, and now we're only down worse than budget net income by $99,480. Now, last year, as I said, at the end of July 2019, it was $422,583 net income, better than budget last year, $228,596. And of course, Lynn asked a question about from the manager's report, because there's a little paragraph in there that talks about the difference between year-to-date July 2020 and then year-to-date July 2019, the difference between the 127,680 versus the 422,583. And then the easiest way to look at that, like if you really wanted to ferret out like the real differences, would be what you would do is you would have this income statement in front of you, this July 2020 income statement. And then if you also side by side had the July 2019 income statement in front of you, you can get those all from the Finance Committee website page. Then if you looked at the second to the right column, which shows operations better, worse, for, as you see, for July 2020 versus the same column for July 2019, then you can really see the differences by line category. Now, I've been talking about the expense to revenue ratio. It just means how much money do we have in expenses versus how much we have in revenues. You could think about it on a dollar basis. So we're 93.8% at the end of July 2020. Lower number is always better in this case. In June, we were 99.3%, so we increased. Year to date, we would expect that number to be lower since we had more income and more surplus, so to speak, on the budget. We're 82.1%. Like one big difference, like in terms of month to date for July 2020, we had operations. So basically on our expenditures, we were better than budget by 43,770. Last year, month to date, we were actually worse than budget by 29,657. Now, if we turn the page to page 41, so now we're just looking at basically your capital reserve cash balances. And the big ones, obviously, surf roads, capital reserve holding fund, UDR, like those are really kind of the bigger ones. But these are all up from where they were last year at this time. This is just a component of how much money we take in versus how much money we put out in expenditures. And it also pre-builds in the obligated expenses, which is just every single project that the board has approved through July is already in this number. So it's the obligated expenses line. And this includes those 4 projects approved, the 2 Windward Drive projects and the 2 Culvert projects for a total of $294,000 approximately. And so that's already in this roads obligated expenses amount. Now, if we turn the page to page 42, so now we're looking at the income statement again, but now we're just looking at it on a departmental basis, and we're just looking at the current month, only July. That's all we're looking at. So, like the most noteworthy department here is golf. So actual revenue, I'm looking at the far left column. Actual revenue, $121,233 for the month of July only, 2020. Last year for July 2019, golf had $143,024 for the month. So the revenues are down $21,791 for the month. For expenditures for golf, which is the combination of the actual salary benefits column and then the actual other expenses column, those 2 numbers together give you the total expenses for any one department. The expenditures for golf, $82,177. Last year, for the month July 2019, $83,830. So the expenditures were down $1,653, which is good. Now, second to the right column, net income total for golf for the month of July, $39,056. Last year for the month July 2019, $59,194. So the net income for golf is down $20,138 from the previous year month to date. If we turn the page to page 43, so now we're looking at all these departments, same thing, but now we're looking at total year to date, January through July 31, 2020. So if I look at the total revenues for golf, total revenues are $576,690. Total revenues for golf last year at the end of July 2019, $623,706, which means revenues are down $47,000 year to date for golf year over year. Now, expenditure-wise, however, golf had total expenditures of $467,176. Last year, they had total expenditures of $520,365, which means the expenditures are less $53,189. So a decrease in expenditures is more than the decrease in the revenues, which is good. And that's what we would expect to be, especially with golf being closed, approximately March 23rd until about the first week of May. So then the net income for golf for July 2020 year to date, $109,514. Net income for July 2019 year to date was $103,341. So golf is coming in $6,173 greater net income wise year to date than they were last year, which is obviously a product of the decrease in the expenses and the revenues not dropping down as much as what the revenue. I mean, the expenditures are down more than the revenues are down, which is giving them that positive amount, better than last year net income wise. Those are basically the major highlights of the statements. If anyone had any questions.
I just oh, sorry. Linda.
Me first? What? I'm tickled pink. So here come the hard ones. Dun, dun, dun. So we've been looking all year long And back in my mind, and I guess I'd like to know where the board's at, there was the commitment to take money from the overage of 2019 and apply it to the surf loan. And we kept saying, yeah, we want to keep it in there. Yeah, we want to keep it in there. But yeah, our balance is only, you know, we have operating cash of 949,794. And I think that's where Joel said that excess sits from 2019. So what's the plan? What's the plan for finally moving that money? You know, are we going to wait until the end of the year? And what if we end up in a negative? You know, are you going to then, you know, that we just, you know, that whole thing of paying down the surf doesn't exist? And then have we decided any further with the PPP if we're, you know, Joe had said something about paying some of it back. Everybody said about using the rest of it. And I guess those are a couple of real things that are on my mind. I have one other thing to talk about, but those were the first two things I wanted to have everybody kind of look at.
As far as the PPP, Linda, I will not use any of it if I don't need it, but I will use what we have to use. My goal is still to not take all of it if we don't need it. And that's been my stance, Linda, from when we first got it till now. That will not change.
So when do we know we've used any of it, or we haven't yet?
We have not used it yet.
Not any. Okay.
Yeah. We're actually, Linda, we're still in our performance period in terms of kind of like a look back, so to speak, in terms of like our FTE counts versus when we apply for the forgiveness amount, since Congress extended basically the performance period pretty much through the end of the year.
Okay.
So this 357,700. So we haven't touched any of that.
Okay. I got you. That number would change if we had touched some of it.
Right.
I understand now. I got you. So I guess then the other thing is, you know, I think it was just a little over 100,000 because I thought last year we had like 132 over, but part of that was the special assessment that has to stay with the special assessment. So I just want, when is the board going to keep that promise up to where you're going to put that money to pay down the surf loan? That's
So Linda,
that's a kind of a question for the board.
Oh,
no,
sorry. Before you guys answer that, I just wanted to point out in terms of like the dollar amount of what it looks like. Linda, if you turn to page 39, like the balance sheet.
Yep.
Under the December 31, 2019 column. And then you see under the member equity part.
Yep.
So basically the first line, the current year net income operations, 56,430. So
just a minute. You've lost 56,430. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be the amount of the surplus from operations. And then the dollar amount below that 23,605, there's the surplus from the rec special assessment portion of it. So those like that first number would pretty much be the number that you would be looking at for that.
But that isn't what it showed us at the end of the year with our financials before. And I guess that means I'm going to go back and take a look. Because before we had at least 100, we figured at first there was a huge number when Leslie, I still can remember I was at that meeting at finance because I was at another meeting and they looked at it. And at that time, there was like almost $300,000 projected. Oh. And we said, let's pay down the loan. Well, then Joe did a bunch of road work with some of that money.
Right.
And then at the end of 2019, we were down to around 132,000 carryover. But like you say, part of that was the special assessment. So now you're telling me we only have half of that 100,000?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And that's why I'm concerned about, we're talking about the fact that we were going to use that to pay down that loan. And we're getting down to where that amounts to squat. That's all. And it's a real concern because that was a commitment the board made to the membership in a vote. So
yeah, Joel, actually, let's go back and look at that a little bit because I remember a higher number too. And I remember there was a finance committee and a board vote to commit some to pay down the surf loan. So I'd like to look at that a little bit more, but what I am seeing looks like wherever we end this year, the net loss will not exceed PPP. So we shouldn't have an issue being able to use those funds that were previously committed to pay down the surf loan. I think we just need to make the decision to go ahead and do it once, I think we're kind of holding on to it from a cash position, but where we're at now, it doesn't seem that we're going to run into a problem there. So maybe we'll come back the next meeting, or
Okay, that works.
maybe even after that. Maybe even after the next finance committee meeting, so a month from now, but just make sure that we have looked into all of that. But I agree with you, Linda. It's time to kind of make some decisions. Yeah, right. Yeah.
The last question that I have has to do with the revised table that Joel sent me to put into the packet. And I was looking at all the numbers because I thought I remembered I understood him to say that these numbers that he had for 2020 projected came from the July financials, I think. I guess here's what my problem is if I look at page 41, the 600,000 is there that he shows for the forecasted ending balance. But there's also, after we take, after that's there, before that, there's $1,597,663 sitting in that account at the end of year, we say. That's not showing anywhere on this. And it makes a difference to the membership if we're saying, hey, we've only got $600,000. Projected, we say, we've got that 1,597,000. Then if you take out the $600,000 overlay, you've still got almost $1 million. You've got $997,663 that's not accounted for anywhere. And it makes a whole lot of difference because you should be carrying that over. And it says we're only going to have 600,000. That's not the case from these financials.
I can talk to that. Yeah, so the reason why it was done that way, and of course, and we also changed that, the language to available amount for expenditures. So like in previous years, that it was modeled off of how it was done in previous years, first of all, but then second of all, the reason why it was also done that way is because like at this point in time, I don't know how much the board is going to spend, in terms of like, there could be still stuff that the board could approve by the end of the year, or something could come up that that the board would approve to have something expended on that they didn't anticipate. So it's just basically informational, only sort of a number in terms of how much, could be spent for the year. Since at this point, we don't know necessarily like what all the board could approve or need to approve if something came up.
It's just the only thing I worry about is you're floating a considerable amount of money around conceivably that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
Now that you're not showing it anywhere.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean that the board is going to spend all that during the year.
I understand that.
Yeah, that just means that that's, just mathematically, that's what they could spend or available to spend if they had to for some reason or wanted to.
I know. I'm just saying it's different than we've done in the past. And I guess my concern is where you move that and you take us down to our minimum. And there's another whole thing. There's that whole big spreadsheet we made up for the
spending plan spreadsheet.
And you started us out with absolutely nothing for carryover. And we should have had a carryover because it affects the whole thing going forward. And I hope that this year we do it differently. It's just, I'm concerned because that's quite a considerable amount of money between two accounts that definitely, and the roads is even more money. The roads is over $1 million.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're going to do this, if the board or the treasurer needs to think of a way you know, you're going to show people what actuality is come the end of the year. I know where to go look for it, but that's me.
Oh, well, yeah, like at the end of the year, then the December, that capital, that reserve cash balance and activity sheet, that's what would show like at the end of the year. And another thing too, Linda, while I'm on the topic, while we're talking about financial statements, is remember how I told you, like, for example, in the balance sheet, when you see that, remember that 56,430 number that I,
Yep.
yeah. Well, actually, let's look at the July 2020 number before that, because then I'll tie it to the next page. So that 86,757.
Yeah.
And then down below, the current year net income for special ops, 16,158.
Yep.
So if you add those two numbers up together, then when you turn the next page over to page 40, then
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
I'm having fun. Yes.
Okay. So now you see the third column basically from the right, that operating reserves column.
The 196,803.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wait a minute. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So you see the net income loss at 127,680.
Yep.
So then when you keep going down the page, and now UDR is affecting it, then the bottom line at the very bottom page, grand total activity, 102,915.
Yep.
That's the amount right there that
the tracks back
right,
to that.
that tracks to those two numbers that you add up. So technically you're right in terms of like, from an operating standpoint, yes, you have 127,680. But then like basically once UDR starts factoring into it, that's how it ties to the balance sheet numbers.
I'm just really concerned with the change in what we're doing, that for the membership, you know, I can come and ask you these questions as long as I'm on the board, and I can zoom in or come to a meeting and ask you those questions too as a member. But I think we need to be a little bit more transparent than that. And I think it concerns a lot of people that it's real. It's like that money is just floating in outer space somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
You know, that's the last I have for the financials.
And that, yeah, and going back to that capital exhibit from in the Measure 1 thing, that basically that anticipate or available amount for expenditures is more of a, I guess, formality, I guess you could say, mathematically wise.
Yeah.
But at the end of December, when that cash reserve sheet comes out, then that will be the number of where we ended out, like at the end of the year.
Yeah, because you know they just approved a capital project tonight.
Oh,
that's close to 50,000.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
I get
like,
that.
Yeah, like if I could do a good job like projecting that number, then yeah, you're exactly right. That's the number that I would carry forward to the 2021 number for on that exhibit.
That works. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have the same concerns Linda has. In the amount available for expenditures is kind of a vague statement. It could mean obligated monies, or it could mean total monies available in the account. But I think the biggest issue here is we're showing a forecasted ending balance of us spending that money. You're forecasting the ending balance of us spending it. And I don't think we should forecast money like we're going to spend it just in case we approve like another capital expense like in the next few months or whatever. It just doesn't seem very appropriate. And a second point I have to make is regarding the surplus that I asked about this months ago as well. And I guess, Karen, you said we are hanging on to this for cash flow reasons. Well, the board put that money for somewhere. So who is we that gets to decide to override a motion of the board?
There hasn't been any specific decision made to not do it. That was just kind of the general discussion that I had sort of heard around the time when COVID hit, that, oh, let's maybe not hurry up and do that right now, just in case we ended up in a cash position. But I agree that we're not in that situation where we need to hang on to it. So we should pay it. I agree that it should be paid. We should pay down the loan. I don't recall any specific decision ever being made. It's just we weren't moving forward on it. And that's all that I meant, is that it wasn't being moved forward. And the reason would be for cash. Just to have the cash.
I guess my only statement is I feel like the board decided something that should have just been done.
I agree that it should be done. That we should
It
make
should
that
have
payment.
been done already, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Joe, do you have any comments on that front?
I have no comments on that one. We will release those funds. Joel, release them.
How much interest have we accumulated in this time frame?
What do you mean, Joshua?
From since when the board decided to put that money to pay off the principal or pay down the principal, from now, has that affected interest at all?
You mean in terms of how much interest could it have cost us?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. It would be, I'd have to look at the exact, I don't remember just off the top of my head. I want to say it's around, we'll say somewhere around 10% or so, 10 or 11% or so. I could be wrong, but it would be that, times by the amount for 7 months. Like we paid, for example, just to give you an idea, we paid, but this is on the whole darn balance. So we still have approximately a $1.4 million balance through July of the SURF loan, and we paid through July $37,330 in interest. But
So-
that's on a balance of like 1.5 million throughout the year.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're still making our payments,
Oh,
but
yeah. Yeah.
had we paid this now, we would have saved whatever the interest rate is on this amount of principal balance that we could have paid down. So it
Yeah, that's right.
whatever percent, well, on 1/12 of the interest rate.
Right.
Well, times
Times
whatever.
by 7.
There's a whole thing going on in my house behind me, so I'm not making a lot of sense right now. But yeah, we could probably figure out what the savings would have been had we paid in, February, March versus now.
So it sounds like there's an action item in there.
I don't know if that's necessarily needed right now. I was just curious. Because I was, I remember the vote on this, so.
I'm going to send you a large spreadsheet, Joshua, on the calculation.
Send it to Scott Wall. She wants to see it too.
An amortization schedule.
Thank you.
Andrew, possibly for an action item, is this something, because Karen would have time next month to look at it with the finance committee if she needs to, and just bring this back and let's have done with it? And agree to move it over and, show how, what the say, that it's been applied to the loans, principal, that sort of thing.
So ideally, Linda, what I would like to have, to close out October, the last finance committee meeting with this finance committee, is just kind of pull all these things together. So have a fairly rough idea of where we think we'll end the year. That'll give us a good idea of where we'll be with PPP, how much we think we're going to ask for versus not. And then knowing that information, you'd also know like, okay, yeah, the funds for the loan, let's go ahead and send them. And all those things are a little bit related in a sense where you just kind of want to know where you're going to end the year in order to make some of those decisions. So
the decision's already been made that we were going to do that. It's just that we keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
Without anything happening.
Yeah. So, but
you and I both agree about that.
Yeah. The PPP is kind of a little bit dependent on how we think we'll end the year.
Okay.
So, okay, that sounds good. We'll revisit this at the next meeting. Is that what I heard from that conversation, Karen?
Actually, the last, Karen, last meeting of October?
The last after the finance committee meeting, so that
Okay.
they have a chance. So it will be like a month from now.
Any further discussion on the July 2020 financials? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you, Joel. Unless there was anything else you'd like to add.
No.
I was just going to say, just looking at a promissory note. So looks like the interest rate of the loan is more around 4.62%.
That's a lot better. I thought I heard 10 or something earlier. I almost fell.
I was wrong.
Okay. No worries. All right, we got all that shored up. Any final closing thoughts, Joel, before we move on? I don't want to cut anyone off.
Actually, I was wrong. So it's 4.62% plus a treasury yield of 2.2%. That's it for me.
Your
Okay,
scope
committee.
creeping us, Joel.
Yeah.
Move into committee reports. ACC.
Okay, I have minutes for the 6th and the 20th of August that have been posted online, and so they are as submitted. I sent the board a revision to the erosion control section, 14.7.5A. I'm requesting the board approve the changes that we made. The contractors are getting a little lax about protecting the trees and the erosion control when they start disturbance. And I think this will kind of tighten the situation up. The committee as a whole voted this unanimously to make these changes. So I'm asking for your approval.
Want a motion or approve by acclamation, Andrew? I will move to approve the revision to policy, ACC policy. You'll have to remind me which one it is, as submitted.
14.7.5A.
Thank you.
Can we do that by acclamation? All right, I'm getting some nods. Oh, okay, we'll back up. We'll open it up for discussion.
I just have a question for Rich. If who and how and when's going to do these inspections?
It will be one of the committee.
Oh, good. I'm sorry, I'm having some current issues.
We're not compliance, Linda.
I know.
Okay.
This would be a really big step so that people don't have to take it to that level. If the committee's going to come back and be the people that are going to be looking at this stuff.
Isn't this stuff already covered in Whatcom County code and the watershed overlay district?
No, it's not.
Erosion control measures and tree protection?
There
is
are
not?
erosion control measures there, not the tree protection that we're asking for here. The only inspections that Whatcom County comes out here and does, for the most part, is the building inspections.
Yep. And when they give them permit, when they issue the permit.
Well, they have a whole watershed group that does erosion control inspections as well.
Well, that's nice, but
I'll say, I have to agree with Rich on this one. I'm living with it.
AJ, I've never seen anybody come out for the county other than do building inspections.
I mean, that's what Mike Kirshner and them do there.
We won't see,
stuff.
we won't see Mike until, we'll probably somewhere after the 1st of October to come out to do his walkthrough. But that's about the only times I see Mike out here. And I know Rich has got his thumb on that a lot more than I do, but I've only seen Mike out here after the 1st of October.
Okay, I'm all done. You guys can vote, do whatever you want to do. I just had to ask those questions of, who's going to be looking at this and making sure, because it's like sometimes now it's like, if there's a set time when the committee will come out, I don't know what your ideas are on that, Rich.
I'm sorry, I don't know what the question is.
So I guess it says, no soil disturbance shall occur until the inspection has been done. So the contractor contacts the ACC committee about to come look?
Once the contractor starts his excavation, which is inspected by John Gordon, then when he has put in his silt and started moving his soil around, ACC will go out and look to see that they're not impacting the root systems of the timber involved. And if he is, then he has to rectify it, and he can't do anything else until he does. And we'll go back and look again.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and call the question, which is to approve the revision to ACC policy 14.7.5A as provided by Rich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I saw everyone's hand, if I'm not mistaken. Motion carries. Thank you. Good work, Rich, and your team.
Thank you.
We'll move down to Finance Committee.
As submitted.
Okay, anything else on committees before we move along?
Just got an announcement again. We still have the community survey up and running online. You can go to the Sun Valley website and homepage, and there's a link to it, or sunvalley.com/survey. We'll get you there. It's open through the 28th, so we really want people to participate and give us their feedback.
I have a question. For the people who received the paper ballots, they were sent to, I guess, about 10% of the members. Will they be counted?
Yes.
Thank you.
Linda?
Is long-range planning done? Because if it is, I have a topic and a report to do and possible questions from the board.
Yeah, I'm done, Linda. Go ahead.
Can I make a quick announcement really quick?
Sure. You can.
So we'll have another candidate forum on Wednesday, October 7th at 8 o'clock. First one went decent, I guess. Scott can tell me how bad of a job I did. But no, if anyone has any questions for those out there viewing from home right now, please send them to communications@suddenvalley.com. We're going to make this next one pretty community oriented as far as taking questions. So again, if you would like to email in some questions, we'll try to get through as many as we can, and that's communications@suddenvalley.com. Thank you.
So there was some conversation earlier this week, and there has been ongoing ever since a candidate withdrew his candidacy I sent the board a timeline. I have more emails than I can shake a stick at. The NNE committee met on just this last Monday in order to put things together, go over it. We have a letter that is in draft. Currently, I have myself and 4 others. I am waiting on one more member to look at the draft. That's basically a letter that's going out to the candidate. I hope at that time to also include the attorney's opinion in there. I think maybe that will help clarify things. I just, I have deliberately not answered him. I've not gotten in any of these email conversations. I know there was one with Karen and there was one with Director Borchardt and Director McRoberts. If you guys have any questions about all this, have at it. I said it at the meeting and I'll say it here. If I failed in any way, and I own it, that when I saw that application and saw that it was not from the current year, it probably should have been brought before those of us that sat at the committee and invalidated, because it wasn't on a current form. It wasn't on a form I couldn't say that it came from any of the sources that it's supposed to come from that is in our NNE manual. And probably that would have been the best thing to do. But I thought I could make it right, and I guess no good deed goes unpunished. And that's all I got to say. If you got any questions, I'm ready for them. And the board, I should add, when this letter gets finalized, and I'm hoping this last person hurries up and does this, I will send an email that will go to the candidate, to the board, and there'll also be a hard copy of the letter will go out in the mail, but you'll all be aware of what our response was.
So Linda, this is the response from the full committee. So that you guys met, I guess, and you discussed kind of his concerns along with just the whole timeline of events. And you have a response back with all of the information that you have taken in and reviewed, and it's a full committee response. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I started the letter and we've been going through revisions as everybody's put their say this, do that, say this, do that. And before it goes out, they'll all have, like I say, I'm waiting for one person yet to review and put that in, but then we're still going to have to say, okay, everybody, what is it we're going to say? And that's going to have to, and we do that online. That isn't something I don't think I have to have them vote on. I think it's just something we have to have a consensus and agree upon, that this is indeed what we wish to say.
And did you, let's see, how do I say this? Just based on one of the responses back, how did you get his input into it? Was it based on his emails that he sent? Was he, I guess I'm just asking what the process was.
I've relied on emails. He tried to call me on Sunday this past weekend, and I told him I didn't wish to talk to him. He has called me a liar and accused me of various other things that he has no basis for. And any communication I have with him will be through emails. I will not and all the emails that went back and forth this week. As you notice, you had my answer. We'll talk about it at the board meeting. I'm all done. I have this whole file that's of emails of his and yours and Leslie's and everybody else's. And I'm just, I've deliberately tried to stay out of this rather than fan the fire. And when this comes out, I hope it's all done. Even the attorney considers it all done. And that's why I want to send him a copy of the response of Richard's response to this whole thing. Anybody else?
I just wanted to clarify my statement too. After all of the back and forth, I was concerned that the whole thing might invalidate the election. I was not asking the attorney to invalidate the election. I was concerned that all of this might do that, and that's why I wanted an answer right away so that we knew we could go forward with a clean election.
And I think he gave us that answer.
I believe so too, yes.
you know, he addresses the problem that was involved with that, but you know, and it's like, you never know. I just, like I say, in hindsight, and it's 2020, I wish that I would have strongly suggested we look at it and invalidate it. You know, we couldn't, and to this day, I don't think he has ever one way or the other said where he got that application, because I have no idea where. He never reached out to staff or anyone else to go, hey, I need a 2020 application. You know, so I don't know what more to do. I just don't.
My personal take is there isn't anything more to do. He submitted the wrong application. He did not submit his bio and picture or the materials by the date that was on the application. And then, you know, anything after that is basically moot point at this point. Like, you know, he didn't get his materials in on time. And so, you know, Linda changing the print to remove him from the ballot is not the same thing as making an exception for him and bending the rules so that he can submit materials after the deadlines that are stated. That what, a dozen, Linda, other people didn't seem to have any problems with. And so, you know, I mean, for me, I'd like to thank Mr. Mooney for trying to step up. But, you know, we do have to follow specific processes, and I would encourage him maybe to apply again next year, or there'll be committees, you know, that he can get involved in, you know, this year if you would really like to be involved.
So I think I'm done with my report. If we've still got parks, Trails and Rec to do? I think that, I don't know who that is. Karen?
Well, it's Rob, but I gotta be honest, I don't know if we have the minutes posted on the website yet, but we have been meeting. Nothing super noteworthy. So I'll make sure that those minutes get up and get posted shortly so that they are all done before the AGM.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got skipped over with regards to emergency preparedness. Normally Paula would give a report tonight, but I just want to let you all know that in the next views, you'll see a second article appear like you did last month on a safety topic. And what we've done is we set up a monthly schedule of articles that we'll put in for public safety for our community. Another thing that we were really looking at, we've been trying to figure out how we can notify people of an emergency happening valley-wide, at least for announcement purpose. And we have these 1610 signs up, and we're looking at lighting them up, similar to what you might see on a freeway when there's some kind of a hazard ahead. So we have a task force looking at that right now, and they're to come back at the next meeting with some ideas. So we're moving along on that. It was really something that actually started last year with the 2019 subcommittee on safety. This COVID-19 has really put a real hammer on us as far as getting people in to talk with. Last year we had Jenny Coe from the Conservation District come out and speak with us. And just recently she did a presentation through the Washington State University Extension Program. And we got that up on some of the social media pages dealing with defensible space around housing and whatnot. We've also put some things up on electrical outages and whatnot. So in a nutshell, I just want to say you're going to see more and more stuff appear regarding community safety. And that's it.
Thank you, Scott.
Nothing new from document review. I don't think we've been handed anything from the board to review at this time. But gosh, it sounds like there's a lot going on with committees. My goodness, from Joshua for the next candidate forum, and we have a survey open still, thanks to the long range planning. We had Rich for the ACC policy, and Linda with N&E, emergency preparedness, and Scott. So, and back to Linda, I just want to say, I know you've been going through a lot with your development as well, but you can clearly see that the board fully supports you and your efforts, and we're lucky to have you. So thank you for sticking it out for us on that front. We'll move into, did I miss anyone? Any final comments on committees? Nope. Okay, we'll move into the next item, which is our declaration of emergency and remote meeting for AGM. I believe we've all seen this, and I don't know if Joe or Linda have anything else to add. We're looking for a motion to approve.
As presented in the packet, I make a motion to approve this declaration of emergency and remote meeting for AGM.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have one question. On page 47, at the very bottom, the video conference format, it says will be held by video conference on a platform and in a manner determined by the board. Now, are we going to determine that tonight? Or how do we do that? How do we determine that?
Leslie, if you look at the agenda packet, if you look at the agenda that's in the voter packet, because that's all we got right now, you approved that, and it says that the meeting is, rather than at the barn at 1 o'clock, it says that it's a Zoom webinar, and at the bottom of that agenda is the whole link and information that will be mailed to every single person that's here in Sudden Valley. And to
Okay.
me, that's, that's the decision you had to make. I can remember the night we also amended the agenda because of all the changes, in floor voting and the different things that even have to be included in that.
Okay, then why don't we just state that in this resolution? Just asking. Or is this intended to be some just kind of a generic thing that we could use for something else? But to me, this is only good for this year.
Hopefully that is the case.
Do we just want to update it to say held by video conference?
Held by video conference by Zoom.
On Zoom webinar.
Yeah. Motion to amend this resolution on section 2 to state that the meeting will be held by Zoom webinar, period.
Second.
Does it
It already says that.
actually list the platform like that, or can it just say
It
host?
already has Zoom as like a list of things.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't it just be hosted on a video chat platform versus saying the specific one? Or am I getting ridiculous here? Because I mean, we've had Zoom problems, I don't know. That's very specific.
Well, Linda has said that it is already included in the voter packet that we will be using Zoom. I don't see that we have any other choice.
Okay.
Well, why do you need to change that? Why isn't it? I mean, Zoom is already referenced in item 2 in parentheses.
And my concern is this is in a manner determined by the board. Can we make the assumption that the board has already made a choice? Is that what we're saying?
If it's in the voter packet, sounds to me like it is.
All right, sorry to complicate this.
No, that's okay. It's, either approve or reject the amendment.
We'll call the question if there's no further discussion. All those in favor of the amended motion as stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 3, 2, motion passes. All right, we got through that one.
Do we need to say which version of Zoom?
Yeah, they might come out with an update between then and now, Josh.
I'm sorry.
Thank
Is
you,
it gonna be
Josh.
1.2 or 2.2 or 3.2?
You are the curse. You're the reason meetings go so late, Josh.
I've spoken approximately 3 minutes tonight. Thank you very much.
I'm kidding.
We'll move into new business. Go ahead, Joe, with the survey.
Survey. I am asking the board to utilize UDR funds for the cost of the printing and mailing and everything for the survey. The total is $2,877.92.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve this amount from UDR to pay for the survey expenses.
Second.
I have a question. Normally that comes to in the form of a memo, a capital memo, folks, not just given an amount. Normally there's a breakdown.
I have the breakdown for you, Linda.
I'm
What
just
had happened?
saying, normally
What
all
happened
UDRs,
was
they're capital
They
requests.
tried to push it. You tried to get pushed into operations where it doesn't belong.
Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying normally it's a request that goes by finance
Not for
and then comes to the board.
You have $1,115.84 for Minuteman Press. You have from AMS $1,762.08 for a total of $2,877.92.
It's still not a capital request in writing. I'm just saying
It's not a
that's
capital request, it's a UDR request, which is the board's account to use as they deem fit. That is
you
their
can
account.
deem fit. You still have, I'm telling you, I can go back and look at every other request that comes out of UDR and it's a capital request. It's not just something where we discuss it. And I'm saying you need to do process.
Okay, Linda, I disagree. We have taken snow removal money out of UDR, and that is an operations request. It's not a capital request.
It's still on a capital form. I can go find it, Leslie.
I mean, I would agree with Linda that I feel like normally they come in a similar fashion to the capital memos. I guess personally, I just like to see the invoices. Yeah, I think the board should see the invoices to like verify the amount, basically. Would be a minimum, I think.
Is that something that we can do? Just put a memo with the invoices attached, just so that we have the documentation?
I'll send you a sample of a UDR memo.
Motion to postpone the vote on the survey expenses until the next board meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of go ahead, Josh.
I just would like to remind everyone to please take the survey. You can go to suddenvalley.com/survey and it'll take you right there. You have this weekend. It ends Monday. You can do it Monday, but this weekend will be perfect to take a survey. I promise. Please do it.
Thanks, Josh. All those in favor of postponing the UDR fund request till next meeting, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Joe, for bringing that to our attention. We'll revisit that next time. We'll move into our property owner comments.
Actually, hey, Andrew.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly point out, so the surf loan interest rate is 4.62% final answer on that one. And another thing too, like I went to Linda, you know, when we were flipping back and forth between the balance sheet and income statement, I just, hopefully I didn't gloss over the fact that you know, the net income, the operations net income in 2019 before UDR was approximately 140,000, which includes that, you know, the rec amount in there as well. And so the bottom line was, you know, the 80,000 after UDR, which ties to the balance sheet. But I just wanted to clarify that point. Yeah.
Thanks, Joel. Okay, we'll move into our property owner comments.
All right, looks like got a few people here in attendance tonight, and we do have a hand raised already. So I'll bring Nancy over. And we've got you moving over here, Nancy. Go ahead and give your name and address, please.
Hi, Nancy Allionat for Sandalwood Circle. And I wonder if our Zoom facilitators fully appreciate the difference between running a board meeting and a members meeting like the AGM. In a members meeting, any member has the right to raise a point of order or a point of information or any procedural issue. They have the right to appeal the chair's ruling, and then all members have the right to debate the merits of that ruling and to support, to sustain, or reject the chair's choice. Yes, it sounds messy and it sounds like it could be time consuming, but you're the guys who went on till midnight the other time, so I know that won't bother any of you. But I want to bring this up because as a members meeting, we have the right to raise points of order. And I sincerely hope that our chairman at that meeting will not do anything that would generate a point of order. So I'm bringing this up again at later comment times. I just wanted to start now since you're starting to talk about how to run the AGM. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Nancy. I'll assure you we'll make sure that our procedural ducks are in a row prior to the event. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. All right. Anybody else that would like to come in for property owners' comments? Just use the raise hand feature in Zoom. In the meantime, you can always visit www.suddenvalley.com/survey to take the LRPC survey that's going on to the 28th, I believe that was.
I have a property owner comment.
Go for it.
Josh Bowen, 17 Stable Lane. I just wanted to say I've taken the LRPC survey and it was absolutely amazing. I've had a great time doing it. I appreciate the LRPC putting that survey out so that I could put my opinions down in a virtual format. I unfortunately did not receive a printed version, but if I did, I would actually fill that out and also turn it into the admin office. So remember, Monday.
Or it's got paid postage.
Yeah, use the paid postage or just drop it off if you're right in the vicinity. It's right down there. There's some amazing people that work in there that will greet you with a smile under their masks. And just, yeah, do the survey, take some time this weekend. There's some, good questions about our facilities and all that good stuff. So please take the time to do it. I would put it up on my screen like a weatherman, but I don't have that ability right now. It's suddenvalley.com/survey, as John said. Thank you so much, John. Back to you.
Thank you, Josh. All right, anybody else? Only a few people in the audience tonight. Looks like no further hands raised at this time.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
We'll do that by acclamation. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
9:12. We'll adjourn.
I have to say, I think Josh and John have missed their calling in advertising or newscasting or something. You guys really should, I don't know, get a show together or something. That was
Well, I'm
excellent.
in advertising, but not the news. No